The Focused Warrior podcast. John feeling really, really nice and full. Had some breakfast this morning. Brother, how you doing,
Hey,
man?
the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Yeah, I got it. I got
Ladies,
it.
pretty easy.
That's it, man. Feeling good, brother. I'm feeling good. This is going to be a pretty good conversation. Like I just did an edit on a podcast which is up now. So the podcast before this is up. And I was just listening to some of the stories that we were saying in that. I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like they were pretty lit. So I'm like, yeah, let's go with this one. This one's gonna be juicy. I believe this is gonna be juicy. So what do we
Well,
got?
100%, 100%, man, because I'll say, Aaron, I was watching, kind of consuming some ideas for that's what I do on social media now is I don't really just doom scroll. I usually go there to if I'm feeling some type of way, try to find some stories or motivational things that really just reset my head, dude. And one of the videos I saw yesterday was just about gratitude and who you had coming up, right? Coming up during this journey, because you don't just land here, right? We know you
Mm.
and I are, on the other side as far as age goes, right? Just a number, doesn't mean shit, right?
Speak for yourself.
We,
It's-
but the thing is, Aaron, is that it's a how do I want to say it? It's a time in your life where you're going, I've lived so much life, but yet I still have so much more to go.
Yep.
The second half of life, what does that look like for me?
Mm.
Right? I'm a completely different person than I was in my 20s and my 30s and even in my 40s, right? But I started thinking about it and I'm like, when I look back, I didn't do it all by myself.
Mm.
And that's, bro, I think that's what it comes down to, man. Is everybody that plays the victim is just like, everybody's been against me. I've always had bad things happen to me. If I'm going to have any luck, it's going to be bad luck. All that narrative, dude, had to come from somewhere.
Yep.
It wasn't just you waking up and showing up in your teens, and then all of a sudden you're 35-year-old man, 40-year-old man, 50-year-old man, and you're like, oh, this life sucks. Well, no, how did you get here? So that's what I want to talk about, Aaron, is how we got
Mm.
here, the influences that we had in the moments, and just go seasons, Aaron. Just
Yep.
talk about 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s now. What have you learned? Who was a big player in your life? Think about, all that, bro. And I think that's what I want to break open just real quick. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out story, but just, the decades that we live, man. Who was there for you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I mean, you sent the message earlier on today, and I've been sort of sitting on it and contemplating, like, how does it look? Like, who shaped who I am? And so many people are like, yeah, like going back on what you were saying before that, life sucks and life's doing this to me. No, life or things that happen for you, not to you. So that's probably another thing that when you said that, I'm like, all right, now that shifts what's going on.
Yes.
Really, and like any kid, any boy, like it's your grandfather. It's your grandfather that is like, your mentor when
Yes.
you grow up. And it can go up till 10, 12, some cases 15. And I know some guys that their grandfathers were their mentors, the person that they looked up to, like even in their 20s, and until their grandparents were no longer here. I mean,
Yeah.
I lost both my grandparents, my grandfathers, shit, seven, eight. So I lost both of
Oh,
them
wow. Okay.
pretty
Okay.
early. And I do remember my mum's dad. He was this army dude, tall, 6'2", like masculine, had the full mustache thing going on as well. And he was just, that man that was always there, the looking after the family, but also you knew if you crossed the line, you knew from him. So I do remember parts, but I just remember the presence that he had. Now, really interesting, obviously going into my teens, I didn't have a present dad. So for me to actually have a strong male role model through my teens, I didn't have one. Like, so for me, it was, I found alcohol, found drugs, left school when I was 15, got into an apprenticeship, and then I was influenced by people at work. But one person that I have to thank was the manager at the time who gave me the job as an apprenticeship. So I have to look at that and go, okay, well, in some ways, he shaped the man that I was. Problem was he was an alcoholic as well. So like every Friday night,
Wow.
so every Friday night we would be at work, and it's like let's get on the piss. So that was up till
Wow.
fuck when I was 2021. Through my 20s, it was a really interesting time. That was for me. I was probably, testing the waters. I was playing the field. I was in doing a little bit of gym, starting to feel good about myself. I started getting laid a little bit more. So I started feeling a little cocky. And then, towards my late 20s, I found and met my then ex-wife, moved to Australia. So up to 30, it was like a little bit of I didn't have a role model per se, which is really quite interesting. And then from 30, when I was in Australia, I didn't even look up to my ex-wife's family or her father or her stepfather. I didn't look up to them. So I kind of shaped myself. Tried to be the man that I thought I needed to be, not only in business, but, people that would be inspired by me. So I had to try and find myself. And, if you listen
Wow.
to a couple of podcasts back, fucked up a lot, destroyed business, destroyed marriage. So I fucked up a lot in my 30s. But then it would have been probably late 30s, 40, came across or met a man through bodybuilding when I started getting into bodybuilding. And I didn't lean on him, but every time he spoke, it was about wisdom. It was about helping me think a little bit more. It was me just looking into how can I become a better person? And again, not looking external because when you're doing bodybuilding, it's all about how do people perceive you? How does the world see me? And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to be the person that they want me to be. Instead of looking at no, go internal. Who are you? Like, who do you want to become? So that probably started a good 15 years ago that I've really started to internalize and started to look at it and go, fuck what the world thinks. Like, who am I to the core?
Mm.
So yeah, that was really interesting. Then obviously getting into my 50s, it's all about me learning the patterns, learning my mistakes, really trying to step into that emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, and the big thing right now, as we see around the world and we see what's happening, the emasculation of men over the last 100 years, is not being afraid to stand up and speak up. And that's the
Mm.
the that's the person that I'm stepping into now, and that's been the last 5 years. Naturally, look at what happened in the last 5 years. I mean, the one thing that I think has really shaped me now is when my father died 10 years ago, and when I witnessed my mum's death on FaceTime. And so the
Hmm.
anger, and so from that point, it's like I'm no longer going to be silenced. So
Right.
that just gave me the strength to become the man that, I was born to be, the man that you deserve to be, the leader that the world needs, the leader that your family need, to start doing things that you're no longer afraid of, like starting a business or going to the gym, doing 75 hard, like doing those hard things and those rituals and those habits in order for you to become the best version of yourself. So it really nails it right down to going, okay, I'm angry because of all of this, and I'm not going to be silenced because of this. But it's like, all right, am I purely looking at, again, playing the victim, hating on the world, or do I really need to look at it and going, all right, well, in order for you to be mentally strong, emotionally available, but also physically capable, then mate, you've got to do you got to look at the details. You've got to look at what are you doing every single day in order to remain grounded, remain calm, not be angry, not be the pressure cooker. Like, what are you doing every single day? So yeah, it'll be the big change for me absolutely has been the last probably 10 to 15 years.
Self-made though, bro, I don't, and again, I'm not saying that you said this, but I just thinking about that term self-made, self-made millionaire, self-made.
Mm,
It's true, but not true,
mm.
right? I
I
don't
agree.
really like I don't like that word because yes, you do have to show up for you. Yes, you do. There's some self in there that you have to take responsibility for. It's like one of the things one of my mentors said was complaining is a losing battle. It's a losing game
Mm,
because if you're complaining, you're all you're doing is you're rising the problem up, right? So, brother, I think that's so good, man. I like that you kind of went down that path. What I love is that you actually did it in the space of you just kind of did give us a high level summary. I'm sure there was a lot that went on during that
Oh,
time.
bro. Yeah, there was 100%. And I think anyone can look at their life and go, yeah, a lot's gone on. Absolutely. There's a roller coasters, there's life
Yeah.
challenges, there's death.
But I think at the same time, it's like we're there too,
Mm,
right? So you may be mad and bitter at, specific people in your journey, right? Example, dude, you mentioned grandfather.
mm,
In my teens, in my early teens, when I was going into high school, I would go sit with that guy. And he was cool. The house we lived
mm,
in, he lived
mm.
next door. Anybody, dude, who's anybody who loved their grandparents, dude, would love, love, love to have their grandparents that close.
Yeah,
So I would go sit with him, man. And he was a he was an army veteran. So he had
okay.
stories upon stories upon stories, dude. I would get stuck over there, Aaron, sometimes for 4 hours, dude, because
That's
he would
cool.
just talk. And here's the thing, man. At the time, I was like, oh my God. Now I'm like, I would do anything for just a piece of that conversation again.
Yeah.
That's how epic they were, bro, because he taught me so much that I didn't even know I was learning. And at the time in school, I was doing this military program, and you had to, wear a uniform, you had to do all these things, you had to learn how to shoot. It was so cool, man. And because he was Army, he would always show me how to shine my shoes, shine my belt buckle, how I used to, and how I currently wear my shirts, when I dress up, how they got the line has to go down and it has to go all the way down to the pants as well,
Mm,
the belt, how it has to be, everything. So I'm like, that was my early
discipline.
mentorship, dude. My very first mentorship
Awesome.
by such a wisdom giving man, right? And he wanted to give it all away. He tried to teach me about money. I didn't listen at all, and I wish I would have grabbed at least that part. But that was my teens, dude. And so, of course, I just didn't know any better, right? So that was my influence in my teenage years, is having him. And then in my 20s, early 20s, I became a very young father, thinking that I knew everything, right? That I had it all under control. Decided that I wanted to get married young, right? Do all those things in my 20s. Lasted 6 months, Aaron, if I'm being
Mm.
transparent. It was quick. I was 21 years old. I know my head from my ass, man. I know nothing. And unfortunately, I mean, we had not unfortunately, but we actually conceived a child, right? It's my older boy, and it would just suck because now he was going to go through changes because his mom and I could not figure it out, and that of course, I could get mad at her, I could blame her, but dude, I was there too, and I think that's where I look at it, Aaron, is all parts I was there for,
Yep.
right? So when people are like, oh, it's because of this person, but what was your role in that? And that's how I look at that, dude. When I look
Mm.
at my 20s, especially in my 20s, man, because once that was done, it was like time to party. I had zero drive. I had
Funny,
zero
man.
goals. I had zero
It's,
anything. It was time to party, dude. 20s.
yeah. Yeah.
Let's go as fast as we can. I moved into my own apartment. My little brother was staying with me a lot of the time, and he's 10 years younger than me, bro. So he wasn't really doing much with me, you know what I mean? But I loved having family with me.
Mm.
So we did that. I just skated through. Then met a live-in girlfriend for a while in my 20s, and then we broke up right before I turned 30. When I got into my 30s, I thought I had it figured out. Same thing, right? We're back to partying. Time to party again. All right, new season, I'm older now, so I should have it all figured out. No, it's just us clubbing every weekend, doing the same thing over and over, Aaron. And so
Yeah.
I just think that for my influences, man, outside of my grandfather and my parents, those were my initial kind of mentors, dude. And then when I got out, it's the same thing like you, man. You meet people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, clubbing.
Mm.
So you're gravitating to them, like, oh, what are they doing?
Mm.
Oh, how do they live? And I don't even know that I even cared, dude. I was just kind of like happy to be in the presence of people. You know what I mean? That was just kind of my personality. And then in my 30s is when I met my wife. Then
So,
things started, I started kind of that whole family mentality mindset. And, you know, the thing is, bro, is that you start realizing that, or at least for me, I started realizing that in these moments, and what I ended up doing over the years was figuring out ways that I could be the best version of myself for my kids, right? I didn't do it right with my older boy. I've had told that story on the
mm,
podcast
mm,
before. The thing is that with my two younger kids who are not young anymore by any chance, right? But the thing is with them is I never wanted them to see me um what's the word I'm looking for, Aaron? I just didn't want them to see me doing things that I wouldn't want them to do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I was always like, I never wanted them to, see me getting angry with my wife. You know what I mean? Too many people, too many couples are fighting in front of their kids, and then their kids think that's normal.
Yep.
It's like one of my mentors from this week in my grief share said, you know, you're teaching your kids how to behave in their adult life. So if it's okay for you to talk a bunch of shit and do all these things, guess what? They're gonna follow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, bro, I mean, it's a lot, dude. It really is, man. And I love it because I've set the tone, especially for my daughter. I want her to have a good man and somebody who is a provider and is willing to go through hell and back because guess what? That's what you do.
It's
And
what you
I'm not
need.
just talking about marriage. I'm talking about life. Just life is going
Yep.
to kick your ass, and you still have a partner that you have to take care of.
I
So
agree.
that's what I discovered. And to your point, Aaron, I don't think I got to the point of like mindset until 3, 4 years ago
Holy
is
shit.
when it really hit me
So even
and
when
my
you got
circle changed.
married, got married again, for you, it's like it was even kind of like a soft introduction into redemption of, what happened in your early 20s. But you didn't. So, okay, what was that pivotal point then? Like, we're talking about 4 or 5 years ago. Like, what was that pivotal point where you're like, holy fuck,
Um,
I've
I
literally
was
gone,
diving in. I was diving into it with Jaden, Aaron.
yep,
I was kind of doing the whole positive mindset space, not really realizing that I wasn't changing, but I was reading a lot and consuming a lot. And because he was going into his high school years, I was like, this is my chance. If I can shape him into a good man,
mm,
this is my first test, right?
mm,
So I got into that speaking a certain way and living even more in a truth, what I thought anyway. I just realized there was more to learn. You know what I mean? Especially when I started, my business with you, I feel like I realized there was more to learn, especially when you start meeting higher level men. You're like, man, I'm not doing it right. I think I'm saying it, but I'm not doing it right. So the pivotal moment was, diving into that space and then liking the community. Network marketing was a huge, huge influence on me as well. Um, finding that community was huge. And I think at that point, I just realized there was a lot I needed to learn.
mm.
And being around people that were successful was intimidating to me because I had always been taught that the rich people were jerks. And so, and again, I've said this before, but that's what my dad, kind of instilled because that's the way he was. He's an all-American man, right? Just, blue collar guy, went to work every day, busted his butt. So that was what I thought. So when I got around these people and I started talking to them, like, oh, wait a minute, I could learn something here. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, to package it all up, Aaron, it wasn't until those years that I actually realized that it was really, truly time for a change. The rest of the time, I think I was just coasting and figuring it out life as most people do, right? But you just hope that I'll say this, man, because I know we got to wrap this up, Aaron. I'll say this, man, is I just wish that the age that I'm at right now, I could go back and talk to the 18, 19-year-old John as I'm sure, dude, you, Aaron, now at your
Yeah.
age, bro, what would you say? I mean, with here just less than a minute, what would you say to young Aaron? What would be your advice?
Don't fuck up. Yeah, it's man, there's just so many points. I think the biggest thing is just jump, continue to jump, don't delay. But yeah, there's just so much to unpack there.
Oh yeah, I knew we would run out of time, Aaron. But you know what?
Yeah,
Again, maybe we even shift to another one, bro, if we want to. But I always
100%.
say, man, I just think all of us need to realize that the gratitude part of this is that we were there for it, and
Yeah.
whether good, bad, or indifferent, it taught us lessons. So I'm here for it, brother.
Life lessons, man, we're here. Thank you guys. Well, that was a real quick, sharp one, and I know the story's going to continue, but we really appreciate you guys tuning in. And thank you again, John. Appreciate you.